Yeah, it's live. Cool.
All
Right.
right. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Talking about AI.
We are talking about AI. We're talking about a lot of this, what we're talking about here is the landscape of AI agents, what even are agents, how they're affecting our lives, our work, our home, all sorts of things. So, got Dougie and Joseph on the Zoom today.
Yeah, one thing we can talk about is how Hermes seems to have completely eclipsed OpenClaw. And several people are saying
Yeah,
that.
I'd love to talk about that. Yeah, I mean, maybe for those that don't know, we got some great news to talk about. I think that's a great topic, and even what people are doing with it and why it's a big deal. Maybe first, like, why don't we give a little intro to who are you? Why do you have any authority to be here talking about AI or agents?
I am building a AI company, trustedrouter.com. You can plug your agent into that and have really, really cheap tokens and also frontier type modeling and deep research. I can talk a little bit about some of the modeling work I'm doing, where we're making a synthesis model that is combining a bunch of open source models, and it's doing better than even Fable.
Unbelievable. Yeah, super cool stuff. I talked with Joseph a lot about Trusted Router. Very, very cool project. And so I'm Douglas. I'm more from the design, marketing, product side of things. I love just exploring what's possible with these new tools, how they're going to impact us, what the actual applications are. And also, being a designer, I always used to stop at the ability to actually build the things I always dreamed about. And I was always like a distant idea or some like big investment in the, far and offshore product design. Never did that much. And now it's like I can just whip things up in a weekend. What would have taken weeks, months of back and forth, hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And it's not always the most elegant, but in terms of prototypes and working things, never had more fun. So I've been going big time this last 6 months, from just tinkering around with vibe coding to full on app design, full on platforms, Linux box deployments, OpenClaw, Hermes, just incredible stuff that I never would have thought I was able to do is now just like a fun project, which is so cool. It's really a time, I think, for creatives, and that's a big the topic we also touch on here is like, it's not so much like can you do things these days, it's like what do you want to do? And that, I think, the future is really for creatives and creators, whether that's creative developers, whether that's technical designers, whether
Like
that's business
birth of
partners,
or like reign of the idea guy.
the
It's
idea guy. Yeah. So all of us can practice like that creative muscle, right? And
yeah,
by the way, and the
you
flip
can
side
go
of
as
that
deep
is,
into the technique as you want, or you can let it
yeah,
go and it's like hiring a mediocre or even decent assistant to do a lot of the details. Like a lot of
yeah,
artists actually have shops where they have a bunch of artists working for them in a workshop, and they don't
that's true.
actually do a lot of the little paint brushstrokes
That's a good
anymore.
point. Like they're apprentices, or like you were an apprentice for like a big artist. They have the idea. And so I think there's like two things. It's like one is knowing your lane of genius and then where your weaknesses are. And that's really the spots that AI can help fill in the gaps. So if you're like an entrepreneur, you can be like, hey, I really don't understand about development or design that much, but I got this great idea. Well, then AI can really support you in those realms. Or if you're the developer, like you've been creating some beautiful stuff. I don't know if in the past you did design work, but now you can maybe, you are obviously very technical. You can be like, hey, what do I need to learn about marketing or design and produce some amazing stuff just by being curious? So it kind of helps us fill in the gaps, right?
Are you a designer? Have
My
you done
background is
design?
design. I went to design school. I went to RISD, and so I did
Oh,
product
you
design.
RISD, like the
Yeah,
Airbnb guys. That's cool.
yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Actually, Brian Chernick was. I'm sorry, Brian Chesney
Chesney,
was.
Chesney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we worked in the gym together back in
Okay.
2007. He was like, "Yeah, I got this new project called Air Bed and Breakfast. You're a guy who loves to digital nomad. You
No,
want to?" Yeah, probably the first 10
he
people, and I was like,
told you
"Oh, I'm
about
kind of
Airbnb
yeah, I'm
when it
doing
was
digital
like a
nomad and working
baby
on this.
idea.
this
No
yeah, we were
way.
total buddies. And I like, completely I said no to be one of the first 10. But
Oh my
anyways,
gosh.
everything unfolds as it should, right? But
Yeah.
anyways, why I brought that up was that
Everyone
like
in California has a story like that. It's funny.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
he's
But
like
yeah, the reason
homies
I
with
brought
Obama now. He's like the
oh
Obama's his
yeah,
advisor. Yeah.
he's doing awesome stuff. He's got his heart in the right place. He was always super creative, and it's cool to see he's actually been one of those CEOs that can grow with a company, which isn't always the case. You know, a lot of CEOs they're the starters, but they're not the sustainers. They can't
Right, that's
scale.
true. They
So it's
usually
pretty cool to
replace
see.
the CEO eventually. Like even
Yeah,
like highly technical companies like Lambda Labs, they have a new CEO that's like gray hair type of
yeah,
person
and
coming in.
the originals might stay on the board or something like that. But, anyways, that was a little bit of a tangent. What I was going to say was that, like, yeah, since I'm a more of the designer, one of the things we learned at design school, and this is the other piece of now, it's like how creative can you get? One of the things about that I think a lot of us are feeling is that there's so many ideas, people are getting started and they're not finishing. And real creators don't just create, they complete, and they complete and they wrap up a project. Maybe it's not perfect, but they wrap it up. I mean, real creators also just create and sketch for fun. But if you're actually really wanting to use these latest tools, it's a great opportunity to be like, hey, here's an idea. Here's like, I'm going to flesh it out. And now I'm going to launch it, and how far you then want to take it to actual completion. But at least like knowing when, because I think right now there's an opportunity. If you have at all ADD, it's an amazing time and also a dangerous time.
Why dangerous? Because you don't sleep.
Yeah, and in fact, I hear a lot of developers in particular are struggling with this. I don't know if this is what they call AI psychosis, but like the idea of like you're so super powered now that
Yeah,
actually sleeping is losing massive amounts of time
it
where you
feels
could be
inefficient.
deploying
Yeah,
agents and having like all these ideas. So I have a
yeah.
family, you do too.
Well,
One of the things
I
that
find
helps me is
it hurts as well because the agent they're not so smart, so you have to it often asks a question after an hour or two,
yeah,
and you need to sleep 8 hours. So if you start something, you think it's gonna work 8 hours, but it doesn't. It works 2 hours. Then you wake up and you're like, I
right.
wasted 6 hours. I should have stayed up another hour, said
Yeah.
what it needed
I
to
won't
do,
even
and that
talk about
was.
what you're doing for 8 hours. My longest I've run something for is now like an hour and a half. So that's a topic I want to definitely broach. But yeah, I was going to say that like that's an interesting thing to think about is actually these one knowing how to just like not go crazy. Like I have a fiance and a little kiddo and I have to stop at some point. I have to take time off on the weekend. If I was a bachelor mode, I'd be like kind of concerned of my mental well-being because there would probably be nothing to stop me other than my own, will. But I think that is important, and I don't know. I think that finding that balance of like knowing when to stop, because you're also right. It's just like hiring an employee. It's kind of like hiring an agent. You need to train it. You need to give it feedback. You need to manage it. Suddenly, people are talking about all these agents. They have an agent for every department, and that's totally awesome. But it's not always easy. These agents, especially ones that come in sort of vanilla, like OpenClaw or Hermes. They're blank boxes. It's like, what do you want it to do for you? It's just like it's like, I want a VA. It's like, well, what do you want your VA to do? It's like, well, this sounds like a lot of work. I need to train someone now. I'm like busy enough. But it's like, that's the investment of time. It's like you invest into an employee, an assistant, an agent, then you start getting the payback.
I have a question about the design side since you're a designer. I'm hearing that in Silicon Valley that engineers are getting hired more and design and PM is much less, like much harder to hire, much harder to get a job for that. It
Mhm.
seems like engineers are more demand with these superpowers, and I'm wondering what your view on that is. And then Figma just had their design conference here, and Figma stock is down like 90% as well. It's still going down. People are using Claude now instead of Figma maybe to design things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know where that's going. I never
Well, I
use Figma
mean,
that much, but
let's first of all talk about poor Figma. They basically had been bought for $1 billion by Adobe, and then it got turned around, and they had to basically unfold themselves and give all the money back. And like that's a bummer because that would have been great timing for them. Because yeah, effectively, one of the things that Figma is struggling with is very innovative. I've always loved Figma when I was doing product design because I went from physical product design at RISD. My last class was how to launch a website, how to connect DNS, how to get a domain. And I'm like, oh my God, I am going to digital nomad around the world. I was a digital nomad when there was no term for it. I called it a tech nomad. And that's why I went fully into digital products. So I went into then product design and marketing, and I love Figma. I just like the interface was so beautiful. But one of the things they've struggled with is they don't have their own LLMs. They're outsourcing behind the scenes to Claude and to ChatGPT, whatever models they're using. And so they're actually paying for those tokens, and people are using a lot. I don't think they're making a lot of money. Maybe they're losing money actually, even, so they don't own that part. It's really dangerous for any of these apps being like, creating their wrappers for these things.
You think Figma's losing money right now on their AI?
I think on anybody, especially when it comes to design, like
because they need to signal to the market we're doing something in AI, even if it's losing money.
Yeah, but they can only charge so much, right? But you're paying $20, just like a regular Claude. Anyone paying $20.
Oh my gosh, Claude is just stealing money from every other company with their story. Yeah, that's crazy.
They're hopefully making it up in numbers, and they are, because Anthropic is profitable. Plenty of people that get the $20 plan or $100 plan aren't using quite that much. Maybe not even, but then there's some people who are using 10, 20 times as, I don't even know, right, what they max out at. But point being, so that the other people pay for the other people. Hopefully, I think Anthropic's in the black overall. They got their API stuff, of course, but Figma, I doubt it. I mean, how much are they going to charge? And then you're talking about the token usage for graphics is high and web is high. Like if you are using tokens for that kind of stuff, that's not just text prompts. That's like full on a lot of behind the scenes token usage for graphics. And so I think that they're probably in a tough position. But to come back to your question, like, what does this mean for designers? I knew 2003, when I finally got onto this, early 2023, one of my product design mentors got me onto it. He's like, hey, have you been using ChatGPT? I'm like, I'm kind of busy with this Figma. I was actually doing Figma. I'm kind of busy with this app I'm designing. He's like, hey, let's just play with it. And I saw him play with ChatGPT, and I was like, holy shit, it's going to change everything. And so I was just like, revolutionized my marketing. All of my marketing, touch points started to change all the way as I dealt with clients. All of my design, I started to be like, well, I used to love doing that, but that's not going to be the future. Like, this is the future. And so designers who are leveraging it, just like developers who are leveraging it, guaranteed developers who are not using AI are not being probably as hired as those who are leveraging it. Entry-level designers, entry-level developers, I think are all entry-level people across industries struggling, right? So those that can...
Because of AI? Or because of remote?
Yeah, paralegals, everyone at the entry level of all fields that AI can replicate, which is most fields at this point, besides entry level massage therapists or plumbers. Point being, and then sure enough, in time robotic, I just saw my fiance
zoo workers.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, great point. I mean, a lot of this will eventually be robotics, but for now, that's cost prohibitive. So those are great careers for now. But also, those who are then expert in their domains, like I would count myself as an expert creative thinker, product designer. I'm pretty damn good at marketing. I love a bunch of things, right? Related to public speaking, market, all that kind of good stuff, right? Content creation. I can inform a company very well with my understanding of design, product design, marketing, branding, right? But I'm not like bogged down by like these old processes where a company would be like, I'd be like, yeah, I got to hire a team to do that. That's going to take 2 weeks. I mean, I even just did some stuff thanks to Fable, the few days that it was out. I did this was actually a bit of a stretch, but I'm also really good at automation. And so N8N, make.com, things like that, low code visual automation was a natural extension for marketing. But my client, my main client was like, hey, got this 10 tab spreadsheet, tens of thousands of records, nothing interconnected. And it was like leads, opportunities, contacts, contracts, approval, agreements, all the things. Mess. He's like, I'd love to be able to ask this insights. I'm like, yeah, what's the point of being a CEO if you haven't even had the last 6 months of this up to date? You don't even know what's going on, right? I fed that into Fable, and I'm like, Fable, please organize this. And
the 3 days that Fable was available.
The 3 days I did 2 crazy projects. I just happened to throw that project
Oh, you have
and a
the perfect
full-on
projects lined
Linux.
up.
I had
Were
two
you
projects.
holding back on that for you were like, this can't do it? Were you holding back?
Honestly, the timing was incredible. Those two projects were to start that week. One was the wrangling of this thing that I've been putting off because I'm like, I don't even know. This is the kind of thing would take a consultant that's an expert at formulas and spreadsheets, which I'm not. It's beautiful. What happened? That and then this Linux box deployment, which that's the first thing where agents have been running for more than an hour on this. 10 steps from a blank box to a fully deployed agentic build out for a company on a fresh Linux box with Slack logins. All I had to enter effectively was some secrets at the front, a couple of little things in a Bitwarden secrets manager, and
Mm.
it 10 phases for the last week. I've just been doing a phase a day. It might take a few hours. I now have a fully functional agentic Linux box. A month ago, I didn't
Wow.
even know how to do anything on Linux. When I started talking with you, I'm like, I don't understand Linux. And now I
Right.
have a fully Docker containers, fully deployable on other Linux boxes. I got it as it was doing it to update its own documentation, so future deployments will be smoother with all the
You
lessons in
used Bitwarden for passwords?
Bitwarden secrets allows me to enter them on my laptop locally and then never change hands. It's just like is on the machine. It can get access to them on the
Yeah, I
Linux box.
copied the file over, but I guess it's for passwords because when I try to get Claude to use my passwords, it's like, no, we cannot touch your passwords. So I'm just curious if
Well, if you use Bitwarden Secrets Manager or machine, that's where the one. It's not Bitwarden. It's a separate product
oh,
that
okay.
for agents to use and machines to use, and that's where you
Oh,
have secrets like environmental variables and
oh, okay.
passwords that the machine has access to in a different way
Oh, this is
than.
great.
Yeah, so helpful. So it's one of those things. So now I don't have to trade secrets across chat windows or whatever.
This is
So
great. I'm
anyway,
gonna this event is sponsored by Bitwarden Secrets Manager.
yeah, totally. Oh my God, I really could
It's
geek out on a few things that we could
just
find
go buy it.
sponsors
It's
for.
gonna be useful. It's really helpful, it
It's
sounds
super
like.
amazing. Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
free. Bitwarden's free
it's a big
for
roadblock.
basics, and that's free.
Hmm.
Most of the things for that Linux box is all free. The only thing that's not free is the $100 Claude plan that I got paid for my company anyways. Everything else on that. Oh, and then obviously the VPS, but if you have your own home box, you don't have to pay for that, as you know. But to bring that full circle was, yeah, the Fable usage was effectively, it wrangled that. So those were my two Fable projects. So within the 3 days or 4 days it was out, I had the full-on phased out deployment for the Linux box ready to go. And this plan, this perfect spreadsheet that had a full-on reporting document, tab at the front, and all the other, pretty much all the other 10 tabs now linked correctly. A lot of good formulas with the reporting spreadsheet all up to date. I showed it to my boss along with 10 questions that he could ask with an LLM of this spreadsheet now, Gemini or whatever. And he's like, great, what would it take to get this to actually be the real data? I'm like, that is the real data. All I need to do is now connect all the automations in and out from Go High Level to Calendly to DocuSign in and out that's synchronizing. But as soon as that's done, and that took a week of actually hard, like that was, there are automations, there are agentic
Yeah. Are
uses
you
of,
using like Zapier or anything to get this other
I hate
connections? Or
Zapier. I got them
you
off
don't
Zapier. I'll never use it if I
several people
can.
tell me they don't like Zapier. I don't get it.
It was
So
the granddaddy, and I mean that's a good segue also too to like the first second mover advantage and things like that when we're talking about Claude, Anthropic, or we're talking about Hermes. We're also talking about Zapier. Zapier was one of the originals, and it sucks. And it's the UI hasn't developed. I use Make.com. I became like I would say world class. I was the kind of Make.com expert, which I had their support people being like, "You taught me something today," which is awesome. And then I got into N8N, which is better for coders, and also N8N has agentic integrations. So there's a MCP. If you don't know what that is, model context protocol that you can get your agent to use. You can build N8N or fix N8N or debug N8N with an agent now with a MCP called Cinta. N8N has one too, but Cinta's really made very well for us, like $30 a month. But I mean, if you're building a 30 node automation, that's incredibly complicated. Like, what's
wait,
your timeline?
I'm
Right?
actually not even I never use N8N. What does N8N do?
N8N is a node-based automation platform, and all these automation platforms have had this resurgence. They've been around for a long time.
So it's like
Make.com,
Zapier, but open source.
like a better version of Zapier. It's
Better,
beautiful.
but it's open
It's
source.
beautiful
N8N.
UI. It's an
And
open stage like Figma that you can move things around. You can Zapier is like still keeps you in this
like a
linear
flow. Okay.
yeah. So make.com is what I really cut
can
my
show
teeth
that.
on, and Zapier is I could show you any of these if you want, but
Maybe I can
Zapier,
present.
yeah, let me show you a couple cool things. So
Hello. Okay.
I can show you
This one.
yeah. So I can show you like
And this is all open source, or no? It's a company.
well, interestingly, no, this is definitely a company. I mean, this is make.com, and effectively it's just a node-based thing. And then this is N8N. I'll show you over here. Or I'll show you make.com first. Okay, so make.com, you have your scenarios and your operations. It's pretty inexpensive to get started. I fully developed like crazy amounts of things in here. So you can start with something simple. Like here's a workshop that I did for PMI, Project Management Institute. But it's like, here it is. It comes in from a form. This one uses the answer from the form. It gets a prompt actually out of a Google Doc. This is the piece that has revolutionized these automation tools. Before it was like this. Something happens, and all very static, Boolean, inflexible. Now LLMs, images, text, video can be brought in as modules, and this changed the game. This, as soon as I realized that this could be done in Make, I'm like, all right, back to make.com. This is what made me like an expert, ability to actually interact with LLMs. See, like this uses past data points that come in from these previous nodes. You can pull in all the JSON nodes, right? So boom, 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 boom. And then a Google Doc is created. It's shared in Google Drive, and then somebody's emailed the Google Drive. This was a lead magnet, but like what I ended up doing, this is where I started to get super expert at this, was I ended up creating a whole app called Agent Auto. And this was really where it got super powerful. But all of these things, generating graphics, generating video, automatic newsletters, podcast publishing, clone voices, avatars, fully created in Agent Auto, in make.com. Agent Auto, a lot of them reusable bases. And like a lot of these are incredible. Like some of these single automations, like this would use, they start to really stretch out. And this one determined who was making the request and what tool they were requesting, and then sending it to the right webhook. So this thing can get incredibly valuable. I mean, very complicated and beautiful. So you can see things like, for example, let's see, a podcast, or like let's see, a cool one, like a YouTube scraper. Let's take a look at this one. So this is an example of one like that, but these can also be incredibly like beautiful, like and crazy. And this is where I started to realize this was going to be the last time I used this, because I reached the edge of what was possible with low code. I mean, this is sort of like, isn't that beautiful? Like this is all going out to different social platforms and doing all sorts of things and feeding back to this platform called Agent Auto, which then would show everything. And this was the last tool I made. It was a software tool. What was even my login? I don't even remember. I don't launch.agentauto, launch.agentauto.com. This was a low code tool built in Softer that goes out, that's all managed through Airtable. It's like a low code database that all goes out to low code, and I got to log in. But this was all, I forget even what my login was. I haven't used this in a while. This was an app that I ended up shopping around, and then the guy who I showed it to liked it so much that he just hired me full time, and then I stopped shopping around the app. But anyways, So yeah, it was very simple. It was all basically form-based triggers that then went out to those automations, came back, and then it came back to your results. And that's where it produced newsletters, it produced graphics. But I reached the limit of what Make was possible with. I reached the limit of what low code agent building, tool building was, or app building was possible. And that's where I got into actually developing properly apps. So by the way, just to let you know, like N8N, why is N8N better? N8N's better because it allows you to do, oh, that one I need to reconnect actually. N8N is better because you can actually start to do things like code. Maybe make.com has code now.
This complicated flow thing.
Yeah, this is like JavaScript or Python.
Oh, code.
N8N is developers automation tool, I would say.
Okay.
So this is like, now I'm using some of this.
Oh, that's funny. So Zapier was trying to be too easy for humans, but now it doesn't even matter because the robots can write the code anyway. So.
Yeah, a robot can write this now and debug it and fix it and add new branches, you know. And so, and then what you can do is, and then vibe coding, obviously, and you know, I was going to pull this up for the news. This is my new app that I built. I mean, this is full on LLM. You can interact with your teams. You know, you have your prompt, all this stuff, agentically synchronized chats with brand bots, making brand design stuff with design. This was all chatted into existence. I had never built an app before this. This is all different Google calendars of people that, you know, you can click across different workspaces and see who's available when. And actually then, and they're all in different Google plans. And so we can see, this might be too busy. You know, Luke's always busy. But look, over the course of our 5 people, over the next week, I can go right in here. I can continue to add people and be like, okay, we've got 15 minutes next Tuesday. Create an event right here, linked with Zoom, integrated with Zoom. Goes right to our Google calendars. All our Fathom meetings come in here. My teams are on this. Multiple tenants, multiple teams.
Do you think you're still gonna have UIs? Like, I don't like typing UIs.
Well, just guess what? Because now you go in here and you say, what can my Team Central MCP do or connector do? So
nice.
All of these tools are represented on the MCP. Like, you would love actually the admin dashboard. It's freaking crazy. Like, this is stuff I'd never built dashboards before. I'd never built any of this stuff before. This was all curiosity guided me through this. But everything tracking down to like all the token usage in here. You know, who's using what tools, how much they're paying. You know, I just have a few test users right now because I haven't even really launched this thing. But also in the account settings, you have your integrations. You have your MCP connector. And so you can literally come on here and say, Team Central's MCP connector handles a few core things. Like, tell me what, oh, I can just show you also. Because I can do all this stuff now right from Team Central. Where's that? Oh, here. Might have to, I updated the MCP and I didn't reconnect. Let's see. Okay, so Team Central, here we go. So all of those tools that I just showed you are available in Claude now, so that I can say, hey, get my last meeting. Then I could say, use my design system to create a new presentation. Claude can whip up a new, you know how Claude whips up HTML
for that meeting and schedule it. And
for that meeting, like I did this with us. So that's what we're going to end on here in a second. I'm going to show you. So let's see. I had a project for Trusted Router. I chatted with, I talk with Joseph. Here's the stuff. I want you to build this thing out. And then one of these things, it actually built out the, maybe it was here. Yeah, it built out, or one of these, it built out the HTML. And then all I say is send that HTML to Team Central. It then gets added here as an actual presentable HTML page. This was built in Claude. From Claude, I was able to send it here. I can then, what I did to you, I then said share, send by email, or, this is like, hey, I want to share this with you. This Team Central share link, you'll get that because you don't have a Team Central account. You'll get that, and that's what you'll see. But check this. This is a piece that I'm really proud of. I chatted this into existence in the morning the other day. I was like, one of the problems with Claude is it gives you this, but you can't edit it. And then you're like, oh, can you edit the headline to actually say this? Well, check this out. Send it to Team Central, and now you can just edit stuff. And then you save it, change the font, and then it's just ready to be shared again. You know what I mean? So instead of people are my team's sending each other HTML links. And so now they can just say from chat, send that to Team Central, here's the share link, and also send an email, which you can't do with your Gmail integration because it only drafts. Team Central, you can be like, send that to somebody via my Team Central connector. It routes it through Team Central and sends it for them on their behalf.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So anyways, I brought this up just because I'm really proud of it, but this was a side weekend and evening project I did on the side of my actual work. I haven't even had time to actually promote this thing, So I don't know how to stop sharing. I just go like this, I guess. So like the point being that like we're now in this ability to do, and this is, I think, it brings us both to an interesting point. And I've been talking a lot, so I want to hand it back to you. And I got some agent news too we can talk about. I know you got some things too, but I know we're in a bit of a similar thing, and we got cool stuff to talk about with our projects. But we both are builders coming from different backgrounds, filling the gaps of the pieces that we didn't have as much before. Me with my technical side, you with more design and marketing side. We now have these tools. Great. And this is where a lot of people find themselves. Awesome. I've built something awesome. Okay. What do I do next? It's like, I got a paywall on it. It works. I got no users. And so that is where I think a lot of people have found themselves. And it's the people who are closing that gap. If you look at Stripe's report recently, the amount of single entrepreneurs that are making now above $1 million a year, it's like this crazy jump since 2023. They got the data on it now. Those are the people who've not only figured out the product, but figured out the marketing. And that's where we find ourselves now. And that's what I was talking to you about Trusted Router, and talking to my OpenClaw about, Team Central is like, hey, we got these cool things. How do we find the people with the pain points? How do we market to them? How do we become our $1 million entrepreneurs? That's the time upon us. And this window is closing. And to answer your point, what does it look like when there's no UI? Yeah, there will be a point where there's no UI. Everything will be voice, maybe heads up display. I think for now, like I'm building a whole agentic platform for my consultant, my main consulting client. They're going to have a chat bot through Slack that's going to be able to do a lot. They're still going to need a UI for the foreseeable future. They're going to need to share client reports. They're going to need to send forms. They're going to need to there's going to be a transition period before we don't need a typical UI anymore. I think it's going to be a complement. We'll probably get that chatbot assistant that helps us, and that's a great segue into Hermes and things. We'll get that. I like the idea of a master one that orchestrates all our things. It's too much for me to think about just all these different ones with no centralized thing. I like this idea of like a master one. But then we're going to still have that UI. And in time, maybe we'll get into voice and we'll start less and less need to be actually at our computer. I hate that I have to sit so much. But for now, I think I still got to do it.
Are you using your phone to code yet?
I am actually. I use it. So now that I figured out how to like connect my Claude app to my GitHub repositories, I'll do that. I also found this cool app called Termius, which allows you to launch remote terminals on your Android. And so now I have a cool little terminal that I can SSH into my various VPSs, my boxes, and I can say Claude, and I can access all the typical terminal commands
Oh,
from a
Claude
phone.
CLI. Okay, yeah. I
Yes,
use the
well, I think
Claude desktop app with the Claude connection remote control.
I hate that. I hate
It doesn't
dispatch.
work perfectly, but it's
Uh,
kind of okay now. I don't know. You hate
I
it?
find it slow. I just like
It's
to
a bit
see
slow.
more. What
It's a
it
bit
does is
slow.
it goes off and does stuff, and then it's like this big time lapse. It's like, is it even doing anything? Then it reports back. I like to see in Claude Code app a little bit more feedback. I
Hmm.
like to see in Termius. I can either use that as a developer, which I never do. I hardly know any terminal commands, by the way. I mentioned things like terminal, everybody. I basically enter some commands, usually because I'm copying and pasting them from somewhere.
Yeah.
Most of the time I go in there, I type codex or I type Claude, and I'm
Yeah, no, I don't use a terminal anymore. I've used it for 20 years. I actually ran a company called terminal.com, and now I'm
huh,
like, I don't want to touch a terminal again. Because even if I
how do you
have
feel about
exactly the
that?
command, or I think I have the command, I just say, Claude, run this command. And if there's a typo, Claude will fix the typo. So like I used to always have typos because I'm a human, and like now I don't have to worry about it because Claude will fix the typo.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I
That's
know you
crazy. Well,
don't. Imagine a
yeah,
filter every time you type in the terminal. Imagine if Claude's there fixing your commands, improving them,
yeah.
making them extra safe. What if that's just always happening? Like, why would you raw dog into a terminal anymore? It doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
well, I think that that's what the new terminals are doing. Like, actually, like Warp. I don't know if you use Warp. Some developers love this
I'm not
crazy
using
for.
terminals. Claude. Claude's my browser. Claude's my terminal.
So you don't ever go into terminal?
No, not anymore. I mean, right now, it's really annoying. Claude is constantly telling me to log in or run these commands. Codex does not. Codex is like, I'll run it for you. But Claude is constantly like, I need to do, you need to do
Wait,
this, you need to do this.
even with auto mode on,
It
all
has,
those things
it's
like
like,
that.
I just now while we were talking, it made me do G Cloud off login for the Google Cloud. Like,
Oh, well, I think maybe we're talking about different things, but like for example, the bash commands and basic things, auto mode now on Claude Code skips all those requests unless it's critical. And that's the kind of thing that like yesterday I did this crazy final step of this deploy and it ran for about an hour and 15 minutes and it never would have done that without auto mode. I would have had to go back to it many times and be like, yes, bash that command, or like, just don't ask me again for that. But the amount of things you have to then
yeah,
click, don't ask me again for that, is resolved mostly with
it
auto
does do
mode.
that, but there's some stuff it doesn't do, or at least it sometimes wasn't, like removing RMRF or
Oh, interesting.
login. Like, maybe you don't use Google Cloud, but that constantly requires login.
I do, and I don't have a problem with it. I use GOG and MC,
Oh, I'm
CO.
not using GOG. I haven't heard of that.
GOG is, I think, Google's unofficial official
Well,
skill. It's
well,
GOG skill.
since we're talking about uh, sh- harnesses, I want to show. So basically, I told Claude the last few days to build code. I told Codex to build Codex, and so I created this code.
Wait. That's so meta. But why don't you explain that? And is this one of those things that is running has run like ran for hours? Like, tell us a little bit about your process.
Yeah, this is one of those. Here, let me switch. So share screen. Uh, yeah, let's share this one. So here's my codex running, and I
Okay.
have a bunch of stuff happening. I have like 10 agents going. And oh, by the way, if someone can help me fix this sometimes it says awaiting approval, and it's just like asking me to approve, even though it's on full access mode, it's asking me to
Hmm.
approve a bunch of stuff. So I don't know what's happening there, but eventually I get it to run on its own. And then this has been running for over 3 days, almost 4 days.
Wait, what
And I
was
just ask it I has to get to full all features and at parity with Codex. So Codex is building an open source clone of Codex. It's online. It's called Quill Code. And
What was your first prompt for this? Like, what triggered, what cascaded a 3 day development,
well,
cascading agentic process?
and this is what it looks like. Yeah, it started with a plan mode. You do plan mode, and
Yeah.
then you tell it what you need, and then it asks some
Uh-huh.
question, or comes up with something and it's a bit wrong. You're like, okay, do it this way. Use trusted router login, and
And you might
then
do
yeah, and
that
then it
for like
works.
an hour, a half an hour, or an hour to really get that plan super good, right?
Natural log e to the x or something like that. And then you just type it, it streams the response. This is using Cerebrus GPT fast, and then it just
Wait,
shows
but
the answer.
this is the thing that was created, right? Yeah, this is cool code. I'm curious, what did you start? You did the planning on actual codecs, which ultimately was you requesting it to rebuild itself as Quill code. And it's been trying to do that now for 3 days, but you're seeing right now it's like kind of hitting
This is
these
actually the
marks.
first time I've opened it, so
Awesome.
who knows if it's working? I don't know. Oh, finally got this open.
So how many
Yeah, so
touch
there's a bunch
points
of
along
stuff
the
that
way?
doesn't work, as you can see. But what would you say?
How
I
many
didn't really
touch
touch it.
points? And it's
I
all
just
been
tried to
in
get
one
it
session?
in one
It's
session.
like,
So yeah, I showed you. It's like 3 days running.
and so it's
You can
like
see the
auto compacting as it goes at like kind of, you're not
see
concerned,
like
you're not like tracking that.
compacting.
Yeah, so a lot of people say like, hey, only use the same session until it's like 50% context used, then get a handoff prompt, start a new session. If you keep running along,
No
then
way.
Claude will say like auto compact and it'll
Yeah,
kind of
auto compact.
summarize. What's that?
Yeah, it's designed to do that automatically. Like it has
Yeah, I mean,
automations. You can
sometimes
tell it
though,
to do this
does it
every
always get
day.
everything? Does it sometimes miss? Like if it's in the middle of an elaborate process and it needs to auto compact, isn't that a
Like
danger?
it has computer use, so I can click this, give it computer use, codec.
So you're not even looking at your folders and files.
No. This you gotta let it go. Okay, so good.
Wow.
I give it computer use.
I mean, I'm
And
using anti-gravity IDEs because I'm like developers, they gotta probably be looking at their folders and files. You're a developer and you're using
this is
codecs.
a cool feature. You can sign in with Crusted Router so that you can send it like
Oh,
it's
cool.
totally encrypted end to end.
That's
And
awesome.
you can give it a key. Yeah. So I think there's a long way to go because I haven't tested it. I just let it run for 3 days to see how far
So
it can go. Like there's a
so
bunch of
you're
things
doing
wrong
this,
with it. For example, look
yeah.
this the tap points. I have to tap there. If I tap here, it doesn't do anything. I have to tap
All
here.
right, well,
That's
whatever. You
obviously a
can't
bug. It's
expect me to do
a
that,
bunch
you
of
know,
easy to
like,
fix bugs.
totally.
And
And the better that, like, yeah, the better we get at like giving that stuff up front, the closer and closer. Like when I first started Team Central, I was getting through like, I don't know, 40% of my like tools and they looked not great, or like the various tools. By that last tool, it was getting 95% of the way there, and a lot of just like little tweaks, little tests. So it's like the more we do this, the better we get at that planning up front. And that's where that some of these tools, like you plan with the most expensive one. If you're trying to save tokens, then you can actually build. If you plan with Opus, and Opus is so good at planning, you could effectively execute with Sonnet if you're needing to trade, like reduce tokens, because Sonnet is good at following instructions. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be as smart as Opus, who came up with the plan. So, I'm just so blown away. I was sure that you were going to be like, I know a lot of developers, they got terminal windows everywhere. They're seeing one whole screen as just their folders and their whole IDE. You're literally developing all this stuff in Codex and just like in one session that's just going. I'm kind of blown away. And that's super cool, dude.
well, as you can see, this is the first time I opened it. It doesn't quite work for a lot of things. So there's
Yeah,
definitely a long
whatever,
way to
like
go.
little thing. Yeah, of
It's
course.
all about setting up the loops so the test is better. And in this case, I just told it to figure out its own loops, which is obviously not great. Honestly, I think Fable would do a better job than Codex at this
Oh, I'm
actually.
sure. It costs 10
Yeah.
times as much. But here's the deal, and we can talk about that with trusted router. Maybe, it doesn't have to cost that much. But yeah, honestly, I still do the thing where, because what I found with that auto compacting, and I don't know if they've gotten better, is if it's in the middle of a
I feel
complicated
like it's gotten
process.
way better. Like people don't really complain about it. No one.
Maybe. I mean, that's the thing. You don't know. Like a lot of us are using legacy habits, And because
Yes.
my legacy habit was like, if it gets halfway through an elaborate process and it auto compacts, it doesn't have all of the perfectly granular instructions to
Mm.
finish up that process, and it was getting off.
So
So it's
you
like, it's fine.
manually compact? You like write each
No,
perfect granular instruction with it by
no,
hand?
I, I phase out parts of the project, like for that
Yeah.
Linux box deployment, I phased it out in kind of manageable PRDs, just like I would give a developer, with, the run through and the tests at the end of each stage. I'm going to show you real quick, because I'll show you what this add to stage. And
I
now
want
what
I
do
want
we
to show
do?
this one thing.
Oh yeah.
I want to show this. So in part of our research, I created this idea of Freedom Bench, and Freedom Bench measures the AI models and whether they are saying truthful things about China in particular, because that seems to be what's
Oh,
being
cool.
banned. And so I took I asked different models, and it's pretty fair. Everything's cited, well cited. And we find, yeah, all these like a lot of models don't have any kind of, like DeepSeek even doesn't have any kind of restrictions on its models. But if you look at the big hotness GLM 5.2, right, that's refusing half the questions, right, about Falun Gong and things like that.
Yeah, of course.
And it's specifically if you
That,
go to the provider z.ai, it's not in the model itself as of now. I mean, they have a bias toward China. I mean, that could happen just from the data, but it certainly it has a guard on the provider saying, hey, if you bring up Taiwan, it's gonna zero out. It's not gonna say anything.
yeah. Hey, we
And
talk about trusted router like a lot, and features and things like that. You know what could be super cool is like a freedom router. And it's like, it knows if what you're asking is, the model that you're asking is limiting its response, and it then, or it routes to the one that's going to be best for that question. Like, so say you're, you know,
yeah, we
on,
have that. Our synthetic models let you put in 5 models, say, and then it will answer based on which one isn't refusing automatically.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, I think that's a really cool, because the other night we've been watching Alone, as me and my fiance, and because one of our friends was on it, like the survival show. And so we were just like coming up with funny ideas for like variations. And so we came up with this idea of what was it called? Um what was it called? Creation to procreation? No, wait, that doesn't make sense. It was the idea of like 10 guys against, or not, like, who have to go against each other
Love
to,
Island? No.
yeah, but like eliminate to procreate. And you have to eliminate the other 10 guys so you can procreate with the one woman and repopulate the post-apocalyptic Earth. But we were laughing at that over dinner. And I was like, hey, let's make a poster for that, which I can show you. But it would not. How can I take over for a sec real quick?
Yeah.
So this was, just for fun. Like, this was, let me see if I go add to stage. Okay, this was the post. Whoops, this was the poster that we wanted to. Where did it go? Photos. What happened? This was the photo that we wanted to make for the reality show that was just joking around with it over dinner. Well, guess what? Gemini wouldn't do it. Claude wouldn't do it. So we went to Grok. We said sexy, eliminate to procreate. So it was the only one that would actually do this, poster. And I think that to your
Yeah.
point,
I think
is,
90% of Grok is they've measured it. 90% is just inappropriate things like that.
but we need that. You know what? Just like you, I mean, that was a joke, that thing I showed you, but I'm in the science like thread, and it was like someone was asking very basic research related information about biology the other day, and it wouldn't let them find out because like they're
Oh,
over censored.
well, they should ask on Trusted Router. In fact, I
Well,
should
that's
make a specific page just for bio. I should just say like bio freedom. I should call that bio Prometheus, and then
honestly, I
just
want to
have it
like I
just
want to help
that.
you wrangle a bunch of killer landing pages that is
Yeah.
very clean and simple
Yeah.
with very unique use cases
Let's
with a
do it.
nice chart. Dude, let's do it. I'm like so in.
Gimme.
I'm so in on Trusted
Just
Router.
have your agent tell me the instructions of the design that it should output,
Yeah,
and I'll write up how it should look technically, and then I'll put it up. I'll put it up today. We'll have it ready
dude.
because you know a bunch of bio people who want to answer their questions, right? Without worrying
We
about
got
it.
a lot to talk about with Open Router. It's one of my favorite projects right now.
Trusted router,
Okay,
trusted router, trusted router.
I'm sorry, Trusted Router, not Open Router, because by the way, they take your data, they completely
They're not
fleece
open
you.
source. Who knows what they're
They're
doing?
not open source. Yeah, actually, the reason I said Open Router is because I was using it earlier today, and I'm like, no, I got a Trusted Router API key now. I'm going to transfer over because one of our old automations used Open Router. Which, by the way, I want to give Open
Perfect.
Router credit. Like, they were really awesome. They saved a lot of the day. Like, they solve an interesting problem that Trusted Router solves, but does it better. With being able to, if one of your models isn't working, it can fall back at the basis. Like, that was a functionality that saved my automations back in the day. You know what I mean? So like, actually, Trusted Router now is expanding to do a lot more functionality. So that's really cool. And so I would love to talk more about that. But I think that's a good segue. Like, as we kind of wrap up into this final part of the show, is like all of these tools like Hermes, which we mentioned briefly earlier, OpenClaw, like they use a lot of tokens. And there's problems that we have. There's a lot of token usage right now, and eventually tokens are going to stop being so subsidized. Things are going to start to get more expensive, probably, for a lot of people. Two, there's these restrictions we just talked about. Imagery, just like I showed the joke, but like what we talked about with biology and knowledge and cybersecurity. And there's reasons for that stuff, but it also limits a lot of us, right? Um, there's other features that are like, if something's down, if something gets taken away, if something needs to be private. And it's like all these things that have been kind of the Wild West, which Trusted Router is really focused on being the solution to, and really being proactive about being like, hey, we're all realizing now that our data needs to be private. We're all realizing that we're spending too much money. I mean, you heard about the company that accidentally spent $500 million because they didn't
I think it
put,
was Uber.
was it? I mean, I knew it had to be a big one to make that kind of mistake, but that's huge. You got to put API token limits on, and you also got to use something like Trusted Router and use one of their systems that actually can get you next level intelligence at a fraction of the cost, and bringing those like costs down. Because especially as companies use more tokens, they need to know that their ROI. It's like almost kind of the era of like, hey, subscriptions for everybody and just use as many tokens as you can. We'll see if you're adopting AI, this stupid metric. It's like now it's like going to be outcome based pricing. It's like, all right, listen, if I'm going to spend $1,000 on Trusted Router, I better know that I'm going to get $10,000 worth out of my team. You know what I mean? Or even $2,000, like whatever, good ROI, because the shooting in the dark, and plus these companies have no idea how to even budget for their AI budgets. They're all blown through their 2026 budget anyway, without even knowing if they're doing a good job. And so that's like right now, and sort of bringing it back to governance and bringing it back to tracking. There's other things I think Trusted Router can like really probably come up to, especially when it comes into with agents, which is a neat segue too. I think there's some real agentic opportunities for Trusted Router to help with that, because you're also working on hardware. You're also, I've been working tons with Hermes and OpenClaw, and Hermes is like you said, getting that second mover advantage. That's gonna be my next experiment when I get the box that you're sending me. Is going to be Hermes, and I might do it for my family. I might realize that actually it's better for me. But basically, what I heard was Peter Steinberger, the creator of OpenClaw, and this was interesting. I heard him on Lex Friedman.
Let's talk about that device. I'm gonna try to send that today, but this is
Yeah,
what it looks like.
I'm gonna hand
Printed.
that to you. I'm gonna just say that to close out on that before we talk about that, and that's the box I'm gonna install Hermes on. Peter Steinberger had this point about OpenClaw. He's like, actually, I could make the onboarding and the UI a lot easier. I don't want just anybody. It's so powerful. I don't want just anybody to use it right now. I think it should be limited for people who understand how powerful this is. I thought that was interesting. But then again, one of the reasons Hermes has become so popular is apparently the UI is super clean, and that's why I want to install it.
He got his exit already, so it doesn't matter so much the numbers anymore.
Oh man.
So yeah, this is a numbered version. It's like a Chromecast for AI. It's called the
Is that my
Cloud
one?
This is number 2. Yeah, this is yours. And it's
God,
got
it
a
burns me up
circuit
number
board.
2.
And this is I'm actually gonna send you a double one because it's taking me a bit to finalize it. I'm gonna like flash this one This is a Chinese from a Chinese factory. So you get 2 for 1. And you can tell me which
What?
one you like better. This is a little bit faster, but they're quite similar.
That's
I'm not sure about
amazing.
the
Thanks,
form
bro.
factor. Yes. Thank
I'll
you.
probably put a
I want you
dongle
to
on that.
have a dongle. I'll ship the dongle as well. It's got an
Oh,
extra
cool.
dongle.
Okay.
But like it's a full computer. It's like a Mac Mini, but half the price. I mean, you got a good price also. I had to up all the prices because the RAM prices
I was
have
an
gone
early
up.
adopter. I'm
Just
number
like
two.
Apple. It just I had to double the prices, just like Apple.
Honestly, I think it was after our first conversation that I had, maybe our second, when you're like, hey, here's the link to buy one. And I'm like, I don't care if this box arrives and it doesn't even turn on. Like the value that I've already had in my conversation with Joseph, I'll give the guy a few $100 or whatever I spent on it. Like that's exactly how I felt. And I actually know it's going to work. But at that point, I didn't
Yeah.
really know you or how much you were putting into it
No.
or if I was going to even be able to do it. And I'm like, I'm just going to throw him a few $100 because I love this guy. So I actually
Well,
can't wait to have it work.
oh, that's nice. Along those lines, so I think every owner is going to be in a special Quill Owners Club chat room, maybe WhatsApp or something, and then we'll be able to collaborate on like, hey, what are we doing with this device? Like, what's cool features can we do? And basically learn from each other. Similarly, like all the Quill owners, which
Yeah,
right now
that's
will be a
something,
handful.
I'm like to. I have now lots of opinions on OpenClaw. And I may even
We got to go
retire
in a
at
minute,
OpenClaw.
but
Oh yeah, I have opinions on OpenClaw. I have opinions. I'm gonna have opinions on Hermes too, and I can't wait to give feedback and work with you on the Quill UI for the onboarding. Because if we make onboarding smooth, if we refine that process, and if we get people playing around to an immediate use case that blows their mind, they are sold. Right now, I would
we got to
not
get the
expect
use
most
case.
people to do OpenClaw and Hermes. I bet it's going to be easier, but I bet most people still, it would be too much for. If we can create something that,
Well, what if we get Quill Code and like, make it as good as better than Hermes, right? But even more usable UI and easier. That's the vision. That's why I'm having the agent build this, even though
dude,
it's like
basically, I want to drop
kind of bad
everything
at
I'm
it.
doing and come work for Trusted Router and just work on these cool projects. I'm coming out to San Francisco soon. We're going to talk. It'd be so fun because literally on this last hour, we've come up with so many product ideas and like ways to
Yeah.
refine. There's so much overlap, and it all comes back to Trusted Router and this aspect of like owning your data and being
Yeah.
smart with
Data
your money
sovereignty.
and
Sovereignty.
getting the
Everyone's talking
intelligence
about
you
it.
need
Yeah.
and
Totally.
owning your agent.
Owning.
Not like it's going to be convenient maybe to sign up and let Gemini run
Own
everything.
your agent.
Own own
Own
your
your
agent.
agent.
Bam, man, there's something there. Maybe that's what we should rename our live stream to.
Own your agent. I like that.
Don't let
Yeah,
your
I like
agent
that.
own you.
It's short.
Maybe that's just a tagline. Own your agent. Don't let your agent own you.
Yeah, that's what Anthropic wants. They want the agent to own us.
And a lot of people are going to drop everything and be like, you know what? This is so easy to connect. And I mean, that's what always happens, right? But a lot of people, more than ever, do want more control. And they don't. We've all been warned from the last decade of tech being dicks to us that the more we give up to them, the bigger the keys to the kingdom. Yeah, I'll use Claude, but I don't want it to be my everything. I want it to be one of the things that I use. And that's
Totally.
why this whole Hermes, OpenClaw, Quill conversation is huge, I
Perfect
think.
ending. Own your
Yeah.
agent. All right, ending the stream. Here we go.
All right. Bye.